I'm Roniel.
I'm DaRon.
Oh man, did you go see Black Adam?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Is it
Come
good?
on. I'll let you be the judge of that. And once you see it, you can tell me what you think. I will say I think they had a nice amount of action, but you got to see it to give me your thoughts, and then we can talk about it because I have some. I'm on the border on that one.
Is it
With
worth
all
the
the,
ticket?
I don't think it's worth the ticket. I think it's worth for you to stay at home. In my opinion, I think it's worth for you to just wait till it come out because, like I said, The Rock was phenomenal. Okay, he looks great, but the storyline is just it sucked. I'm not gonna lie. I just want to hear your when it come out. Just let me know because I was not impressed with it. I did like it because The Rock was in it, and I forgot the other guy that was in it who played Hawkman. But I just no, it's not the best DC movie. I would say, in my opinion, the best DC movie is Aquaman. The first Wonder Woman was pretty good. Those are my best DC movies. So
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
so it's just crazy. But if you haven't already, if you want to waste your ticket, go ahead and go buy the ticket to go see Black Adam. If you don't want to waste your ticket, wait till it comes out to DVD or streaming services. Do anybody use DVD anymore? I mean, I was just thinking about that. When we used to have VHS, and
Right.
now it's DVD. It was DVD, Blu-ray, and then now we're streaming. So, does anybody use DVD? If you do, let us know down in the comment section. If not, I mean, who cares? But either way, let's talk about something that is really, really a big common issue in society, the world, and at work: depression, and focusing more on depression at work and feeling like whether you belong. You may also sprinkle a little bit of imposter syndrome in there, but feeling like you don't belong at work or wherever you're at. So, DaRon, how do you actually, and have you ever had any depression at work or feeling like you don't belong? And if you have, how have you actually combat that or dealt with that? He's not going to tell you it's because he doesn't have any issues. He belongs where he belongs.
I did have some problems when I was at one company long ago, and my issues actually were tied to the fact that there were two individuals at that organization who, I don't know what their problem was, but they had personal issues that they needed to work out. Actually, I know the one guy, his wife had divorced him recently, and I guess he was just taking it out on me for whatever reason. I don't know why, but that was a bad situation. It was a very bad situation, to the point where I didn't ever want to do any work with those two. Well, I actually got sent on an engagement we had to travel for, and my boss at the time put another gentleman in there in charge of the team to see if he couldn't resolve the issue or at least keep it so that it didn't matter. But that did not work because the other guy decided to join in on the reindeer games. Like, I think I may have mentioned it once before. So my brother was gay, and these guys started making a lot of homophobic remarks and comments, actually toward me specifically. And the team lead decided to join in, and you're on travel. I'm in a vehicle with these three jackasses. Is the best way I can describe them, and they're all making a whole doing a whole bunch of homophobic slurs and things of that nature, and they're pointing it at me and I'm like, I don't even understand why this is happening. I'm married, I have kids, I'm not gay, but who gives a damn? Even if I were gay. That was bad. That was horrible. And it got to the point during that car trip alone where one guy actually told me that I should stick my head under the tire so that they can, move forward. So that, yeah,
That's
it's not. I mean, I'm smiling now, but I'm smiling now because there's only one other option. Even now, just talking about it, it upsets me tremendously. And I called my level 3 at the time, and I mean, I'll be honest, I don't cry often, but I was crying on the phone when I was telling him what all happened. And anyway, I'd already given notice to the company, so I don't know that anyone cared much other than obviously my level 3 was bothered. That was bad. That was actually terrible. That was a bad situation.
No. It sounds bad. Like, and I don't know what gave them the thought to even do something like that. Or did they think they were above you or something? Like, or did they're having their own issues and want to take it out on you?
The best I can come up with is, so the first two guys were friends. The one guy, like I said, his wife had recently divorced him. He went on a drinking binge and got into a big accident and almost lost his clearance, which you never want to do. If you lose your clearance, you're never going to get it back, especially if you lose it because you're self-destructing, which is what he did. And I think he just decided that the way he was going to heal himself was rabidly going after others, because it's better. I assume in his mind, it takes the pain off of his own failings. And why his wife, I don't know why his wife left him. I never really cared for the guy. I didn't talk to him other than actually on 2 engagements. This was my second engagement. The first engagement didn't go well, and it was him and the other guy, him and his friend. And that didn't go well, which is why they put the third person in there who was supposed to be the adult in the room and keep them from being dumbasses. But apparently that didn't work. I think the one guy was just, trying to make himself feel better. And his friend, of course, is...
I think but see, that's my thing. And then this goes back to this, like, just because you're going through something doesn't mean the best way to deal with it is to talk about or bully on other people.
I agree.
Like, what I'm saying? You don't know what other people are going through as well. You know what I'm saying? And the best thing would have been maybe if he, even though you probably didn't care for the guy, maybe he could have, had a conversation with you. Maybe he could have brought that up and say, hey, I don't know if you ever went to this. Like, how do you deal with these things? Like, can you help me out? Because you're married. You know what I'm saying? Right. You have a successful marriage. He doesn't. Like, that's not the right way to go about it. You know what I'm saying? If he wanted to, and I say this goes back to people who think they're so smart. You don't know how smart you is until you find somebody who's smarter than you.
Right.
Okay. And then when you find somebody who's smarter than you, what do? Do you actually bully them, or do you try to put them down, or do you actually go to them and ask them questions?
Right.
Learn from them. You can learn from anybody. That's the all saying I always say. Just because you're a black belt don't mean you can't learn from a white belt.
Right.
And maybe people may say, oh, we can't learn from a white belt, but that is not true, Pete. I've seen some white belts beat some black belts' asses, by the way. And that's only because they had prior experience.
Right.
But my whole thing to this is it sucks because that's, like I feel sometimes that I don't fit in certain organizations because, people think because I'm this level or they're over me that they're so much better than me, but hasn't seen my work, don't know what I'm able to do, don't know what I have done, my experience or any level. And then they think because they're at a higher level that they're better than me. Or maybe because I speak another language I don't speak, a native speaking language. Maybe what did we say we were? I was Indo-Garian, whatever that may be. But what I'm saying is, in recent years, even in organizations, I always feel like I had to prove myself because I feel like it's my color, or because people don't understand me, or because of the way I think is different than other people. And I don't think it's right for people to put people down. And that causes people to be depressed. And especially the workplace. I mean, I thought our community is supposed to be uplifting people, not tearing them down.
some people don't understand. Actually, a fair number of people, unfortunately, don't seem to understand that. And actually, to your point about not knowing what other people are going through, all of this happened shortly after my brother was killed. So, yeah, I already wasn't in a great place, and getting literally bullied while at work at some place where I couldn't escape from the three of the people. It was that wasn't great, but I think that's a rare thing. I hope that's a rare thing. And more to what you're talking about, I think the more common thing is to not feel like you belong, not because people are actively going after you necessarily, but because they're excluding you or they're treating you differently. And that can actually be both ways. It can be giving you special attention, right?
Yeah.
And making you feel like you're stupid because of that, right? Or, oh, you need a helping hand. You're not smart enough or good enough to do this by yourself, so I have to do this thing. But it can also be where they're purposely excluding you. I see that actually a lot in teaching environments.
Yeah, they do that a lot, especially in computer science.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I feel like that's not the right way. If you want to groom people up to be good computer scientists, it's not about belittling them or because you think they can't do something, you have to pity them. It's ways to go about it. You know what I'm saying? That's not the right way. And trying to weave out the good from the bad, you don't know who's really good. There's some people that probably don't seem like they're great and then go on and leave and become billionaires from creating something. Not saying that all of them really created their apps, but I'm just saying that a lot of them, they became something. Yeah. Like how many people like just flunked out of their computer science thing or just dropped out and now they're like the biggest thing ever. Like I said, I don't think it's the right way to go about it. I think that we're supposed to be uplifting each other. You're supposed to be like, for instance, if you're my boss, you're supposed to be uplifting me. You're supposed to be helping me, teaching me, mentoring me to get to a level that you are on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, wouldn't you want somebody that's working for you, under you, whatever, or, to get better? Yeah. You don't want them to still be at how does that make you any better if I'm still at a lower level? And I'm never coming up to a higher level.
And I think that's one of the big things that people should remember. Organizations should really. So right now they're doing all this diversity and inclusion stuff. And of course, that somewhat targets you and I a little. Yep. And they seem to think that that's how to make people like us and people who aren't like us, so individuals who have different sexual orientations and things of that nature from you and I, they seem to think that that's what will make them feel like they belong. But what they're missing is a sense of belonging is more than that. It's management understanding that their job and how they should be rated should be based on your successes.
Yeah.
They should understand that one of the biggest ways for someone to feel like they belong is to not feel like they are an other. Yeah. So I think I've escaped at least a portion of the not feeling like I belong from a racial perspective because I'm not white and I don't look white, but I don't look like what a lot of people would stereotype as someone who is not white. Right? Meaning I talk, I guess, I don't know how to even phrase this. I talk a certain way, that is generally acceptable to the general population. I have my hair a certain way that is generally acceptable to the general population. I guarantee if I had my hair long and put it in braids, then I would be treated very differently. But no, I do see, I think that's one of the they call it passing. I actually can't pass, but I can pretend to pass well enough and just ignore the people who have a problem with it.
Yeah.
unlike you, and I think unlike, let's say, women, for example, and things of that nature, I think that's, but instead where I personally will get a sense of not feeling like I belong is if I were with a whole bunch of people. So we talked before. I don't like a lot of the stereotypes tied to our industry, and so I avoid many of the things tied to those stereotypes because many of those stereotypes are very negative. I don't like childishness or what I see as juvenile behavior. I'm older than a lot of that, and I've had experiences such that that's of no interest to me whatsoever. Like, part of it is being older, part of it is work and life experiences, part of it is being married, having children, and all that good stuff. So I'm not interested in banter with my coworkers, for example. Right. So I think that sense of belonging, part of that. So a lot of people think that your workplace is supposed to be friends, right? I'm supposed to be friends with all of my coworkers. I have never taken that approach. If I like a few of them and I want to talk with them outside of work, that's great. When I'm at work, I'm turned on to work, and it's 100% what work is. It doesn't mean that I'm the guy who's being a jackass and thinks he's better than everyone. It just means that you're not going to see me talk about what I did over the weekend. That's nobody at work's business, and it's just not something I'm interested in having as a conversation.
We're both the same. I got kids, not married, but I've never been into really childish stuff. Like, at some point, I may do some things, but that was when I was younger.
Right.
But I didn't grow up having that, being able to be a kid. So
right.
Everything is pretty serious to me. But I don't really believe in that either. Like, when I'm at work, I'm here to work.
Right.
I'm not really here to be friends and stuff like that. I don't mind, being, associates and talking to people and having that friendly stuff. But a lot of times I kind of I don't really do all of the other extra stuff that everybody does. And they consider me dry because I don't. Because my thing is, I'm here to perform a job.
Right.
Anything outside of that, that's my choice if I want to do it. But more than likely, I'm not, because I have other, I got other things to do.
Right.
I got kids, 2 daughters to take care of. I got just things in my life that that I got to take care of. I don't have time for the other stuff. So
yes,
maybe people do, but I don't.
Consummate professionals. And so that's one of the big things that I have found is when you select a team and build a team, one of your biggest jobs as management is to make sure that the personalities match. That doesn't mean that everyone is interested in the same thing or anything like that. What it means is I'm not going to stick an introvert with a bunch of extroverts, because that introvert then will become more and more depressed and feel like they are not part of the team, because they aren't part of the team. And they're not part of the team because everyone around them is getting along and getting together, but they aren't part of that group. And they can see that group congealing and having fun, and it's, you would say, oh well, the introvert should just get over themselves, but that's not how life works, nor should it be how life works. The introvert should not be forced to engage in meaningless, pointless banter if they don't want to. And so you just have to be cognizant of your team makeup, I think, and I think that's where a lot of organizations go wrong, and that's where a lot of the diversity and inclusion stuff goes wrong. So being the only black man, maybe within our team, I mean the bigger team, right?
Yeah.
Understanding that's not your only identity. You have a lot of other identities, right?
Yeah.
But when you look around, obviously you're the only one, and maybe that's a problem for you, maybe that's not a problem for you. But when you look around, do you see other personalities that you match with? Personalities that you can say, okay, I can talk with this person and I can feel comfortable. So now I don't feel like I'm not part of the team because I have someone else that I can communicate with. And maybe they have their own sphere too. So we have these overlapping spheres with one another. So I feel part of, so you feel part of the team, even though you don't engage with this person way over here. You know nothing about them. You don't even really care. That I think is more the ideal world. And I think that's maybe where things are going wrong, because number one, they're focusing on you as a black man. They're not focusing on you as, how is your personality? What is your personality?
Yeah, like, you know, I'm an introvert. Like, I'm not, like, I can be an extrovert. Like, I had to. It's because I had to. People will talk to me because they see me. They're like, oh, you know, you're a nice looking guy, blah, blah, blah. And they'll talk to me and people just think I'm cool. But in actuality, I don't like really talking, you know, and unless we have something in common or similar, really talk to a lot of people. And there's not a lot of people that have the same similarities. Like, you know, we talk a lot because we have a lot of similarities, and you don't treat me like other people treat me. So it's like, that's awesome. But everybody else, they either, and you know, here's another thing. A lot of people like to skate around the issue. They'll come and they'll say things to me and they don't know how to say things to me. And they'll go back and say things to other people, or they'll come back eventually and say, do you mind if I say this? You don't have to treat me just because, like, you don't have to treat me like that because I'm black.
Right. Kitty gloves. It's the kitty glove syndrome.
Yeah.
He's so fragile. I don't want to offend him because then I'm going to get in trouble with HR. And it's like, well, why do you assume why can't you talk to me like I'm a human? And that actually goes to what I was talking about. You're not just a black man. You're a father. You're a computer scientist. You're a security professional. You have tons of interests. You do martial arts, etc., etc., etc. That's not, and part of this not feeling like you belong is because they don't take the time to get to know you, because partially they're afraid. I would honestly argue some of them are partially afraid. They're afraid because they think you're smarter than them, or they're afraid because they don't want to offend you and find themselves in HR. They're afraid because all of these weird reasons, and some of it undoubtedly is their own biases, racism, etc., as the case may be. And it builds together, though, because they don't communicate with you. And when they do, it always seems forced. It's like, I have to talk to him.
Yeah, yes, that is exactly how I feel it is. It's like, I'm like, it's not a comfortable setting. It's not a comfortable, conversation. And it's like, you're just saying something to say something to me. Yeah. And it's just like, we don't talk on a regular basis. So why are you talking to me? You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say, like, I feel out, not because I can't say anything, but like, for instance, you've seen some things where people will chat and they'll have comments and stuff. And I'm like, this is childish. I don't want to talk about this.
Yes.
Like, why are we talking about this at work? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're at work. Like, let's do work, you know, and maybe if you want to chat and something later on, that's fine. But like, to me, I don't engage in that. And I don't find that, funny, cool. I just kind of look at it and say, all right, move on, go to the next. So what they find dry, I find some of the stuff that they do stupid.
Right.
You know, that people do. And I'm just like, that's just me. But if I wanted to talk to people, I could. But again, it would be forced for me. And I'm not going to force myself onto people. Pause. Not a good thing, but force myself onto people that don't want to talk or be bothered with me. But like I said, like, I just don't feel like I belong. That's why I said wherever you were to go, I would follow, because I feel like I belong. I feel like I'm near. Like, you know, I don't have to be. It's not forcing me anything. We have similarities, and we laugh, talk, joke, whatever. It's great, but never felt anywhere where I could go where I actually felt like I belonged in the group. And don't let me, the fact that I'm smart and black, that's a big issue. Everywhere I go, it's like, you can't be that smart. You know, you can't be that. I had a guy told me there's no way that I could be this smart and, you know, whatever, and be this color. Like, that was so racist. And I'm like, it is. There's no way I could be smarter than him. And that's why I look at other people when they're at a certain rank, and they think they have authority over me. I'm like, you're only one level above me,
Right.
but I'm smarter than you. And if I was at that same level, would you treat me the same way?
Right.
Probably not. But then you couldn't actually have that same conversation you're having with me at a lower, because we're at the same level now.
Right.
And that's my thing. I think in security, the one thing I don't like, and that's everywhere, but I'm gonna say security in general, cybersecurity, that we suck at, inviting people to the community and making them like they, especially people that have really, high level of experience, or quote unquote, so they think. We suck at doing that. Like, how can you mentor a new generation of cybersecurity professionals when we're belittling the group that are coming above us and making them feel like they don't belong?
Yes. Yes. You're exactly right. And it's a culture thing, right?
Yep.
Now our industry isn't the only one, but ours is particularly bad about that. And I think a large part of that is a lot of the people who are doing the belittling don't actually understand what they're talking about to begin with, which is why they're belittling others. It's deflecting, right? You won't notice that I don't know anything if I'm busy attacking you. I think the other component to it is a lot of teams in our industry are very poorly constructed. They do not take into account how your personality is and will you mesh with this team, or at least with a member or two of this team, because again, it really just takes one or two people.
Yeah.
And if you aren't going to take the time to do that assessment, then you aren't going to build a successful team unless it's by chance. And instead you'll get a lot of churn. And that's why we get a lot of churn. We get a lot of churn in this industry. And some of it is because you have a lot of people who are in it for the wrong reasons. They're in it for money, and those people never last. They burn out very quickly. But a large portion of it is because there is this fear that if I teach you something, then you'll be smarter than me. And if you're smarter than me, then you'll replace me.
No, and that's crazy. Like, I love teaching people.
Yeah.
I love training people, getting them up there. You know why I say that? I want you to be better than me.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because either way, if it's my job to stay on top of my shit,
right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's your job to stay on top of yours. And it will always be something I know more, because based off my experience.
Right.
Like for you taught me a lot of stuff, but based on your experience, you have way more experience than me. So you'll always have things over me. That doesn't mean I couldn't get to a level. But by the time I get to that level, or just say I get to that level in the next year or so, by that time, you've still got way more experience over me, all type of things. So there's, what I want to say is, I'm not saying that, let's put it in lame terms of martial art. I'm not saying that you can't get a black belt and you're a grandmaster and I'm trying to get a black belt, you're a grandmaster.
Right.
Okay. Of course, you may want me to be better than you, but there's no way that I will probably, get to that level of competent like you. I'm not saying I can't get to a grandmaster, but our levels are different. The way you think is different than the way I think. Our styles could be different. You could teach me how to do something, which you have, and I'll still do it different than you, but it'll be in my own way, my own expression. And that's what I want people to understand. Like, it's nothing wrong with people becoming better, or they may be better than you at something else, or something different. Like, it's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
If I become a high level security or cybersecurity professional, how did that look for you? Right. That makes you look great.
Right. And that's so this is a mindset game, right? If I look at it and I say I helped make him, a small part of what helped make him what he is today, as great as he is today. A large part of it was him, other mentors, et cetera, but I played a small role. Now I have reason to help you do better, because you're doing better is actually tied to me and makes me look good, makes me feel good. I think a lot of management in our industry doesn't see that. They don't, it's called sharing in someone's success. They don't share in your success. Your success somehow is a detriment to them. I don't know why. I don't know how.
You would think my success is their success. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, I'm just being honest. There are two people I would say that really contribute to me being who I am today. And one is the one guy I told you, my first boss, and then you. Like, been very helpful in my career. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm progressing, and I'm talking about at a faster rate. But I learn fast. But just saying, like, to me, it's a good thing for you guys. You know what I'm saying? It makes you guys look good. It'd make you look bad if I look bad, you know, or I am not good and I'm under you or something like that.
Right.
But being able to say, I helped this person get to this point, or, you know, whatever that may be, it's not a detriment. It's actually helping. It looks good on you. It makes you look like, hey, if you can make this person to this, can you help me?
Right.
You know?
Yes. I think martial arts is much better at that mentality. Like, everyone sits there and they say, oh, well, Bruce Lee, I believe he's overrated, but Bruce Lee is so great at XYZ, so they want to go to Bruce Lee's teacher and see if he can make them that way too. Martial arts is very good at that. I wish our industry were good at that, because if they were, I think you would have a lot fewer people feeling like they don't belong, because you have management who's behind you. You have management that is building teams centered around people with similar goals, people with we're not saying that you have to think the same, but who have at least similarities and such that they don't clash.
Yep. You need that. You need people that have similar. That's a part of building a great team. You know, some people they stick with other management because they like them. They have similarities. They gel well together. So taking them from one to another probably won't work out. So building a good team is very, very important. Like-minded people as well. But also, you know, getting with people that actually want to progress.
Right.
Like I say, just because you're at a higher level doesn't mean you have the right to bully, belittle other people who are at a lower level. Just remember that. What goes around comes around.
Right.
And eventually they could be your boss.
Yes, that's true.
And then what? Now you remember that. Like, people need to think about some of the things they do. I'm not saying anybody, you know, that's going to happen to everybody, but you never know. It happens before the people. But that's not what we're here for.
Yeah.
You know, we're here to build the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. And by belittling and bullying on people and making them feel like they don't belong, that does not make you a professional. And you should not be here. And I always say that. You shouldn't be here if that's what your goal is.
Right. I think the big takeaway is, obviously we have the management side, but if you're an employee, the best way, if you don't feel like you belong, my real recommendation is to look around your organization and see if there is a team or if there are people where you do feel like you belong, and try to see if you can move over. And I say that because what do most people do when they feel like they don't belong?
If they feel like they don't belong, they go somewhere else.
And leave. That's right. And the problem with that is, number one, obviously from a corporation standpoint, if that person is, you know, talent, you're losing talent. But from that individual's perspective, when they wander off and go somewhere else, there are no guarantees that they will belong there either.
Yep.
I mean, do you belong any more where you are today than you did at your last job?
No. That's the reason why I left. So, you know, that's a good factor, you know, and for me, I want to build where I'm already at. I want to feel like I belong there. And it could be me having to go somewhere else, you know, to another team or another person where I may feel like I belong. But, you know, again, that is a good thing. If you don't feel like you belong, it doesn't mean you have to jump out and leave your job.
Right.
You know, there may be other people, other teams, other, you know, people that you can talk to or get around that you may be able to join that are like-minded like yourself. So, you know, you're not alone. There are other people that are probably feeling the same way. And I would say go talk to people, like explore.
Right.
You know, see what other teams are doing and see if you can move around there. You might find a really, really good situation for yourself.
That's right.
Because more than likely, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to go somewhere else where there's even worse.
Yes.
So, you know, don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be afraid to look around and chat and see what other teams are doing and see if they fit your mindset.
That's right.
So, but either way, this has been our segment. I'm Roniel.
I'm DaRon.
And again, it is not cool to bully, belittle other people, especially in our organization and other organizations, schools, anywhere. It's not cool. And RDPS do not agree with that. So we're letting you guys know, if you have any issues or have anything that you're going through, feel free to reach out to us. We've all been through this depression stages and different things in work. So definitely reach out. Or if not, talk to a therapist, talk to somebody. Do not let it get to you, because you're not alone. And till the next time, this concludes our episode.
Have fun.
Later.
Oh, you disappeared. Where'd you go? What happened?
I have no idea. You just went out. This is a good blooper. All you see is a double face.